Hello and welcome to In the Spotlight. So today we talked to Teri Reid. Teri was a studio engineer for a lot of famous artists back in the day, so we spoke to him about his experiences with them, and he's got a lot of stories to share, so I hope you enjoy this episode. Teri, thank you for joining us.
Alfred, great, thank you for having me.
Let's set the scene a bit. So, how did you get into music?
Well, it was actually a chance meeting in a pub Blue in Stoke Newington. I'd fallen out of school where they asked me to leave because all I ever did was hang around the school radio station. We called it a radio station, but it was really, you have speakers in each classroom to sort of like announce end of lesson. Lunchtimes and evenings, we were DJs and played music and stuff, and all I ever did was hang around the studio and play Slade and Pink Floyd records.
Oh, really?
Late at night stuff. So, I kind of parted company with school because they said we're not entering you for any exams. But one of my mates who'd worked in the studio with me had got a proper job in a studio, and he was working at the studio where the Pistols were making Nevermind the Bollocks, and Queen were doing whatever album We Will Rock You is on.
What's the name of that one?
It's got the green robot monster on the front.
I know which one you mean, I just don't know.
Yeah, and Howard, the mate of mine from school, is actually one of the people going stamp, stamp, clap.
Really?
Rock You.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I was just unemployed and wandering around, and I know I was in this pub Blue in Stoke Newington, and realised that Howard was like peeing next to me.
Yeah.
And we got into this conversation, and I'm out of work, and they'd just fired the tape op, the assistant engineer on the Queen album, because he'd bootlegged it. He'd run off a copy for himself.
Really?
A cassette pre-mix.
Blimey,
and
it's quite a scandal.
Yeah, so they sacked him on the spot, and a fortnight later, I was working in the studio as a T-boy. But Howard said, well, if you've not got a job, we just sack this guy. And a fortnight later, I was T-boying on the Pistols album, and also the Rats, the Boomtown Rats. They were kind of both happening at the same time. This is Wessex Sound, which is in Highbury New Park, North London.
Amazing.
So, I started making tea and cleaning toilets.
Is that the role of a tea boy? You make the tea, you clean the toilets?
Yeah, you're called tape op, stands for tape operator, but, because in those days, sorry Tom, none of Logic Pro or anything, it was actual tape.
Yeah.
Actual tape moving at 30 IPS.
Yeah.
Tape op that sits there and presses the red button, winds the tape back, so when the singer wants to do the chorus again, the tape op winds back to a couple of bars before the chorus, because he's got all the notes written down, like 1 minute 10 seconds is the first chorus, so you wind back to 1 minute 2 seconds, hit play, drop in.
Is it it must be a lot more expensive, than doing it nowadays, because
it must take a lot longer as well.
because if you mess up, you have to scrap it all.
And you run out of tracks and things like that, and achieving sounds and effects, like, in Logic Pro you've got a plug-in for stuff.
Yeah.
But if somebody wanted, you've probably got in Logic Pro, I think there's a gated plate or something like that.
There's everything, isn't there?
Yeah, I would have to actually put a sound gate before an echo plate, and the echo plate is a sort of an 8-foot by 4-foot sheet of steel in a wooden box with like an exciter in the middle and transducers on the end.
Talking like a proper producer.
And we had 4 of them up in the attic of the studio, and that's how you got echo, reverb. So you could dampen the plate so it didn't rattle so much, like a spring in a twin reverb and stuff like that. So I'd have to put a gate before the plate and then compress it, and that's how you get that big drum sound. A gated compressed plate on the snare makes it massive. And maybe delay it, and the way of achieving a delay was having a 1/4-inch tape machine running on vary speed and wobbling the speed of that, so record and play.
It sounds
that goes before
a lot more
it's
complicated.
Such a long process.
Now you just go on the computer, you just I've got
press go, that's all.
Don't get me started. I think it's just too
easy.
easy.
Do you still use analog stuff then? Or have you kind of just followed the trends?
I'm a complete. I use GarageBand all the time, and I just go,
so
that drummer, he'll do.
Do they have a nicer sound analog gear?
Well, it's more fun doing it.
Yeah. It's a slightly softer sound, isn't it?
Yeah, because it rolls off naturally, whereas digital, it just suddenly shells, doesn't it? It's trying to get higher, but I think analog, you've got more of a shape to the waveform.
All right, okay.
And it's more fun.
Yeah.
Well,
It does sound it.
recording drums
A
properly.
bit more hands-on, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not all just a computer. Someone actually sitting there doing it. That's interesting.
Well, I do remember when it started to change when a Linn drum machine came in sort of like the 80s. You know, the drummer used to be somebody you'd go down the pub with, and then suddenly the drummer, was a QWERTY keyboard and some pads and that sort of different thing. So, yeah, it's a bit of a change. I like recording stuff like properly, working out where to put the microphone in the room.
So was that part of your role as a T-boy, or did you sort of move up the ranks?
Yeah, T-boy, you're just doing what you're told. Ordering the cabs, running out and getting the McDonald's.
So you're not even touching any of the gear?
Yeah, kind of like sometimes as you learn a bit more, they let you do a bit more and then sort of get hands-on with stuff. So there was, on Tonic for the Troops, the Boomtown Rats album, I think Rat Trap, their first actual number one, which I am finger-clicking on, actually. Really? I don't know if you listen to Rat Trap, if anyone's heard it. They knocked Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta off the number one spot with Rat Trap. And
your clicks?
Yeah, my finger clicks in the intro. Anyway, so.
Did you get a credit on the album for clicks? No.
Oh.
I wonder at what point you get a credit.
I don't know, it started getting things for like, T-boy and assistant and thank you and all that stuff.
Did any artists have any unusual tea requests?
Oh, God, yeah.
Really? You instantly came to mind.
Well, but when there's a lot of money involved for a band, they can kind of record wherever they want. And the technology, to a certain extent, doesn't matter that much because every studio's got, fab gear. Yeah. And it sometimes, breaks down to what fruit have you got in the fruit bowl? And, somebody else wants an Earl Grey and sort of Formosa oolong tea. So you get that in and they come in. And I seem to remember the sax player in Roxy Music it was all about having star fruit and things like that in a fruit bowl and more exotic teas. So,
proper rock star life.
Get some nice tea and get them in so that, they don't go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's just,
that's what it all comes down to, what fruit you got.
Keep them in with
that kind of thing. That is an aspect of it as well. But yeah.
Never thought about that. That's so interesting.
So, did you say Roxy Music you're working with?
Yeah, Avalon, the Avalon.
Because Brian Eno's from around here, isn't he? Did you meet him?
No, that was post Eno. Avalon
post Eno, okay.
Yeah, so it's Phil Manzanera, Andy Mackay, and Brian Ferry, like the core of it. And it's like anecdote here. The night before, working with Roxy, I thought I've got to go in smart because Brian Ferry, he's a style icon. So I wore a shirt and tie, which is like nobody's wearing a shirt or a tie. It was all t-shirt and stuff. And I walked in and Brian Ferry said, "Oh, you look smart, Terry." So I wore that shirt and tie till it fell off me because I said, "Brian Ferry says this is smart. There is no higher authority. This is it."
Amazing. Yeah.
So that was a good one.
So how did you sort of progress from T-boy to engineer?
Well, they kind of let you do stuff, let you have a go, and I kind of keep quiet about this, but the first thing I actually engineered on my own with the producer was a Nolan Sisters album.
All right.
So I don't really shout about that so much. And that was, they did a lot of covers of things like, I think there's Bridge Over Troubled Water on there, with all the session guys of the day and the Nolan singers singing. So they let me actually push faders.
Okay. Oh, so getting rising up the ranks.
Yeah. And then you kind of move along and start getting, they let you loose on odd things that come in short sessions. Well, Terry, you go and do that. Yeah. And that's it, stop making tea. It's like your career is defined by who's making the tea. You're making the tea for other people, then you're making your own tea, then someone's making the tea for you, and then you're complaining about what flavour of tea it is. That is the career journey. Yeah. I want some more Earl Grey. With a
when you're
slice of
demanding
lemon.
the tea, you know you've made it.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So what does a sound engineer actually do, just to break it down a bit? Because I can't really, they're not a producer, are they? They're not. No,
the producer is, what's the phrase? A creative liaison between the engineer and the artist.
Producer's a bit more, sound engineer's a bit more behind the glass.
Well, you're all in the control, and producer and engineer together, and the tape op is sitting there winding the tapes back and forwards. And the roles do sort of merge and smush across sometimes. It depends. So sometimes you're much more creative as an engineer, and other times you just, mic it up and let the producer run with what they're doing. But mostly it was all about sort of like a creative team doing stuff, unless you're doing like a Fish Fingers jingle where you've got like the ad agency come in, you've got session musicians in, you're recording 28 and a half seconds of music, because all adverts have a second and a half silence at the end.
I didn't,
There you go.
I didn't know that.
No, just listen.
why'd they have that?
So it's a space between one ad and the next.
Oh, right, okay.
A bit of a gap. So you
all very considered.
Yeah, you do sort of those sort of jingle things. That'd be a 3-hour session. Session musicians come in, they've got the score in front of them, mic it up, get it onto tape, do it a quick mix, and ad agency go away with an advert for Fish Fingers or something like that.
So do you have to really change your engineering techniques for different artists?
Yeah,
I mean, I saw that you worked with The Who,
Yeah.
and then also Kate Bush, and they are opposite ends of the spectrum in some way.
Yeah,
so
but
how do you change?
Well,
what do you do to cater to them?
Kate was a massive perfectionist. She actually didn't like the monitors in the studio. We had these Uri 813B, very techy time-aligned monitors, which were these great big like wardrobe-sized things, woofers. They were actively crossed over and bi-amped, 750 watts a channel in a room this size. And instead of fuses on the speakers, they had car headlight bulbs for bass units, mid-range, and the tweeters. And if you started driving them too hard, the headlight bulbs would light up. Until you drove them too much, then they'd burst. And I like point of honour, I always felt I had to have the headlights glowing, or I wasn't listening loud enough. Anyway, Kate didn't like the Uri monitors. She wanted JBL 4350s, which are sort of like similar size things. So we actually got in some scaffolding towers, like painter and decorator scaffolding, and put those monitors in front of our monitors because she wanted different stuff. So okay, they're fine. And I suppose the major difference is if you're doing a jingle or a quick thing, you've got the mics up and ready, so that when the drummer turns up, he just puts his kit out and you've got the mics more or less in place. There's a mic for the guitar, DI for the bass, and there's a vocal mic, and you're ready to go under pressure in 3 hours and get it done. But with The Who, we kicked off on Monday, and it was Wednesday before we'd mic'd up the drums.
Really? Why?
We tried just
trying to get that perfect sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Set up the drums on the wood in Odyssey Studios. Was this great big space, 2/3 carpeted, 1/3 wood, and it was really tall.
Do these artists come in and they have to record their album like that week? Is that how they're kind of working?
No, it's different. I mean, The Who, it was 10 months.
Wow.
It was February to November.
Okay, so they're not on like a strict time schedule, and you need to stress and like.
They can book video as long as they want.
It depends who the band is and the budget.
But like, a band with less money would have to.
Yeah, so you've got an hour left. Get in, do that.
Yeah.
Oh, The Who. So okay, you got whatever time you want.
Yeah.
So that was February to November, and it was. I think John Entwistle didn't turn up for the first week because he knew how it was going to go.
Really?
We did. We spent 3 days setting up the drums, listening to miking them, put them onto tape, have a listen, strip it down, move the drums somewhere else, mic them up differently, and move them around until it got the sound he wanted, which was a combination of Bill Simzik, who was producing that Who album, Face Dances, produced the Eagles. He was that was his pedigree.
Yeah, sure.
So he came over from Miami and. We spent 10 months just taking a long while laying down tracks. Whereas Kate, it was a lot of overdubs and stuff she'd done in various other studios.
Yeah, because the album you worked on, it's Dreaming, wasn't it?
Dreaming,
That's quite an innovative album, isn't it?
It's been referred to as the She's Gone Mad album.
Has it?
Yeah. An A&R man from EMI, I think, came in to listen to some playback halfway through, and he sat there with a face, and I think he said something like, "I'm sure we'll all look back on this, Kate, and appreciate it," which meant like, "Oh my God, what has she done?"
Yeah. But so they didn't think it was going to be as successful as it was.
Did she just not care then? She was set on what she wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, and God, she knew what she was doing. Brilliant.
Yeah, tell us a bit about what it was like to work with her, and what she was like in the studio, like what her process was and her songwriting.
She is fabulously talented. She really is quite special. At that time in the 80s, Fairlight computer music.
Oh, yeah,
CMI,
Fairlight CMI, yeah.
Yeah, with the green screen.
She used to, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember studying that at A-level.
Oh, right. Well, it used to be two session players would turn up with a Fairlight. The guy who was going to play it and the guy who was going to program and tweak it. So Kate's Fairlight turned up in the control room.
It was one of the first synths, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first like computer-based synth, and you've got a light pen for drawing waveforms and stuff like that. But it was like proper green screen, cathode ray tube, massive piece of kit. So the Fairlight turned up, was put up in the control room, and we're going, well, who's going to come in and play and program this? And it was Kate. I'm going to play and program it. What do you mean? And just, it was, I think, this is brilliant.
She was in control of like every aspect of...
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
And so we did some odd vocals. She liked the sound of the kitchen at Odyssey Studios. Odyssey Studios at the time had a record company above it called State Records, who were in the 80s, Mac and Katie Kazoon and the Rubettes, that kind of thing, which some people might have heard of. So she wanted to do a vocal up in the kitchen. So we had to wait until record company staff had all gone home, 6 o'clock, and then run cables out, down the corridor, up the stairs, along that corridor and into the kitchen, and cables for her headphones, and, get feedback and fold back to Kate and the sound up in the kitchen, because she just liked the sound of her voice in the kitchen, so we'll do the vocal.
Just thinking out of the box.
Yeah. Oh, the box was thrown away. It was just... But she was lovely to work with. She was really, really, really sweet. I actually bought Christmas presents, and I had one of those little Nintendo Game Boy things. So she bought me one of those as a Christmas present, and I was wearing contact lenses, those hard contact lenses, which were drying out in like studio aircon. And Kate said, well, it might be something to do with static electricity, might be affecting your eyes. Well, I'm not sure about that. And I don't think if you play vinyl, you can get a zero-stat pistol, which is sort of like a piezoelectric pistol that you shoot it at your record and it discharges any static from the record, so it doesn't gather as much dust as it's made. I mean, this used to be a thing. Vinyl
sounds a bit beyond me, but sounds cool.
So Kate came in the next day with a zero-stat pistol, and every now and then during the session she would shoot me between the eyes to discharge the static electricity that she thought was giving me.
So you're getting really close to these, aren't you?
Yeah. But she obviously cared.
Oh God, yeah. Lovely.
That's nice.
I've got here that she called you up to ensure that your name was spelled correctly.
Yeah, I mean, that's because I was spelling my name Teri, being very silly about it, because I thought Teri Reid on an album, I need to prove that it's me, so I started spelling it differently. And most artists kind of didn't spell it right. The Who spelt it right. But Kate actually phoned up to ask, how do you want it spelled, Teri? And I was doing a really dull jingle that morning with some... ad agency people who couldn't be bothered to even ask my name. I was just a bloke connected to the desk. That was it. I wasn't worth speaking to. And the phone rang, and I said it to me, and I actually just asked you, just it's Kate. I said, yes, Kate, can you spell it Teri? Thanks. Yeah, see you, nice.
Amazing. I bet they were nice after that.
They were a bit nice.
She sounds great.
Yeah.
She was lovely. We were working in Odyssey Studios, which is kind of around Marble Arch way. It's now a block of flats, I believe. It became a radio station, and now I think it's a block of flats where people live there and probably read about the pedigree of the place. But we wanted to go out for somewhere to eat one night, and Kate said, well, we'll go to Abbey Road, because I like the canteen there. And I remember saying, will they let us in? And she looked at me. EMI, Kate Bush, they're not going to tell you you can't come into the canteen. So we nipped out to Abbey Road, had dinner at Abbey Road, and came back. And there was another one evening where we were swapping tapes over, and she had some tapes from Air London, some tapes from Abbey Road, all over the place. And each time we changed tapes, there was a whole realignment of the multi-track machine and the Dolbys and stuff. So you'd lose an hour of studio time while that was done. So while that was being done, there was not much for me to do as the engineer, because we're not recording anything. So I nipped out for the fish and chips and stuff, while we're waiting till Teri nip out. And she gave me a checkbook and card to go out. And I remember going to the local chippy and buying a whole load of fish and chips from us all. And this guy said, "You're not Kate Bush." And I said, "Well, no, but I've got a checkbook and card." So
Amazing. It's amazing how close you get to these artists. When
Yeah, she
you're
just
working in the
trusts you
studio
to
with
kill for their money.
Well, yeah.
You're not going to take it,
them. The
you'll run
ultimate form
away.
of trust.
Yeah, well, it's quite an intense creative process. You know,
And like you said, you're spending 10 months with...
yes,
Yeah, probably like every day
The
is
Who was
a long time to get close to someone.
That was really sort of, that was a bit sex and drugs and rock and roll.
Was it?
We had a couple of fridges put up in the control room. The Who army move in.
Yeah.
So I mean, each one of them's got a personal assistant, and a driver, and like a roadie techie guy. So when we also had two fridges, one was like beer and the other one was wine, and then there was a barrel of something chopped up as well for another ale, because their sound guy, a guy called Bob Pridden, liked a particular beer. So we had fridges and beer set up, and Pete had probably a fair bit of his guitar collection came in.
Really?
So the
All
Odyssey.
mangled and broken.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, he joked actually. We were doing an overdub and he got a Rickenbacker 12 string out, and he went, "I thought I broke all those." Yeah, the fact he still had one. And he had a whole row 3 deep all around the studio of guitar cases, and his Les Pauls were actually numbered with big white numbers on them, so that you knew which one had
Amazing.
the DiMarzio pickups on, which one had the mini humbuckers.
Amazing.
With the amount of stuff in their fridge, would you say they were drunk most of the time they were
Well,
recording?
there was a lot of
Yeah.
there was a lot of
Central to the creative process.
The wildest one was the Thin Lizzy album, Renegade, where a bottle of Jack Daniels did sit on the desk the whole time, and because we were just swigging Jack Daniels, and rather than send out for the drugs, the Lizzie had their drug dealer in the room the whole time, so there was no messing about.
Yeah.
It was
Rock and roll.
What's that saying? Drunk words are sober thoughts. You got that out of them.
Yeah.
You got it out of them for
Oh,
definite.
and there were some wild evenings of yeah.
Could you tell when you were in the studio which songs were going to go far? Was there like an electric buzzing feeling? Like you're like, that one's going to go?
Yeah, every
Or-
now and then. And one
not.
there was on Face Dances, the single "You Better You Bet." When the very basic track was down, I think like drums, bass, and a real rough guitar guide, and maybe a guide vocal that Pete would have done. He put the guitar solo on over the top, and I thought that doesn't go with anything. He actually went out and played the guitar, so I thought that's all wrong. And then as the track built over the ensuing weeks, I thought, God, you're clever. The guitar solo fits in perfectly with everything that's come later. It was just like, God, you are, brilliant. Another time rambling on. I mean,
No, carry on.
The excellence of musicians, in that sort of time, if you appeared on Top of the Pops or that kind of thing, you got a hit single, in theory you were meant to go and re-record it to mime to for Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
This was the sort of thing. So you had to book 3 hours studio time, was the musicians union thing, re-record the single, so that's what you mime to, so the musos got paid again. But nobody ever did. You just swapped the tapes. The record company would book 3 hour slot in the studio. Nobody would turn up, and a copy of the master would be sent off to the BBC for the band to mime to. But when the Who did "You Better You Bet," they hadn't been on Top of the Pops for about 20 years because they'd smashed up some gear and they were banned and they were going to be on.
Classic Who.
So they 3 hours were booked to re-record "You Better You Bet." And the world and his wife turned up. 2 guys from the BBC, a couple of guys from the Musicians Union, the record company there.
Really?
And my job because the album had finished by then, so Bill Simzik and co were gone. And it was just me and the Who and all these hordes of people making sure, we're going to go and see the Who in the studio. And my role was to make sure that the guy from the BBC left with a copy of the master of the single. And no matter what, he was going to be actually given a copy of the single, no matter what he thought he was getting.
In 3 hours.
In 3 hours.
Right.
So
Not 10
I had
months.
every tape machine in the control room had a copy of the single on it in some form somewhere. And then, we spent 3 hours having a hoot. We actually re-recorded "You Better You Bet" in about 2 hours, with the band having a real scream about this. This was a right giggle. We pretended to mix it. And I think I've got a copy of it somewhere, and did the mix in about half an hour.
Really?
And then when it came to handing over the tapes, I had one in a drawer there, and the guy from the BBC left with a copy of "You Better You Bet" from the single master. And then we went down the pub afterwards. And I remember this. John Entwistle said, "Here's to Terry. Great stuff you made. It sounded exactly like the record, Tel."
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a bit of a wild, stupid night. Yeah. And I think
Sounds like there were many.
Yeah. Oh, there was. We took a break from face dances at one point and went to see The Empire Strikes Back.
All
We
right,
just
okay.
said, let's go to pictures, and we all decamped to somewhere in Leicester Square and got thrown out because we were all a bit noisy and rowdy. The Who and Entourage watching The Empire Strikes Back, and
Amazing.
we got booted out.
Okay, we've got time for a few more questions. What was the highlights of your music career? One moment or one record that you're like, I worked on that one.
I think it is probably something like, it's either Kate's The Dreaming, the whole
Yeah.
thing I like listening to, and the Who album, You Better You Bet.
Yeah.
That one I really like. That's a great single, great recording. The guitar part is fun. That was, I really enjoyed that. That's solid thing.
Yeah.
And well, now with the two McCartney albums as well. I did
Oh, yeah.
Tug of War and Pipes of Peace. I did the track he did with Michael Jackson,
Wow.
which is, in fact, I was looking at a magazine the other day, and there's a picture of McCartney and Michael Jackson in the studio, and I've looked at it and I've gone, I am obviously just there in this picture. I'm just outside that picture there, and George Martin must be there, and that's McCartney and Michael Jackson. So that
Amazing.
was working with George
Met some
Martin.
amazing people.
Yeah, I think I was actually physically sick the night before, going, oh my God,
That
tomorrow I'm
nervous.
working with George Martin and McCartney tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's nobody bigger than that.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I think Paul McCartney came in, hi, I'm Paul.
Amazing. I'd love to meet Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Lovely
so-
bloke, lovely bloke.
Was he? Yeah.
Linda was really nice, really lovely. Yeah.
He was in the box in front of me at Taylor Swift, and I couldn't get to him.
wow.
Oh, no.
I thought I was the closest person to get to him that we
I
knew.
think Paul McCartney is the person I'd most like to meet.
It's one of a mate of mine in the States who worked at the record plant in New York. He used to introduce me to everyone. It's like, this is my mate Terry, who told Paul McCartney he was out of tune. We were doing.
Is that a true story?
Oh yeah. He was doing a bass overdub on something. And he was out, and I sorry, Paul, we were out. That's me hitting the phone back there. Out of tune, can you tune up? You need to go again. And I think the rest of us in the control room did actually go, you've just told Paul McCartney he's out of tune. But what I think is a claim to fame, we were doing an orchestral overdub for something on the telly, and had the London Symphony Orchestra in the LSO, like 70 odd musicians. We're just like, Christ, that was a session, miking those up and finding how to put a microphone in the harp while the brass are blowing at her, and a nightmare. But we recorded the LSO doing this just overdub for a TV programme, and they had to tune up, and it actually again fell to me to hit the talk back and tell the London Symphony Orchestra, you're out, guys. You say, excuse me, gentlemen, can we take an A, please? And it's like, harumph, and they all tuned up, so yeah.
It's good to know even the pros get
Yes.
out of tune and play out of tune.
Yeah,
Not just me. Terry, it's been amazing to talk to
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of In the Spotlight. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave us a review and a comment and a follow for more. Thanks again.